We want to be the world's most intelligent connectivity company. AI is powering all of our customer interactions, all of our network decision, employee experience, and growth engines. It's about AI, but it's also about HI and CI.
What I can see is my employees have more time and more energy to actually do the things that only humans can do.
A 50-year-old who's willing to be reskilled and retrained could look more valuable than a 35-year-old who is close-minded about the retraining and reskilling topic.
There's no easy decision. Every decision has trade-offs.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to our podcast series TChats, Building the Future. In this series, we explore the big shifts reshaping our workforce, industries, and economy. I'm Tian Chong, CEO of Singtel Singapore, and with me is someone who's at the forefront of the global AI movement, Oliver Jay. He's the Managing Director of OpenAI International. Welcome, Oliver, and great to have you here with me. Maybe you can start by telling us, what do you do at OpenAI, being in charge of the international business?
Thank you, Tian Chong. It's great to be here. Good to see you again. I'm the Managing Director of International. I have an awesome job. I get to fly around the world. I'm in charge of our international strategy and also our operations. And so I'm responsible for launching offices really in almost every continent, and also establishing our most important partnerships, and including like our partnership with Singtel. But my home is Singapore. My family is in Singapore. And
Singapore is home for you.
That's right.
Hey.
So that's why whenever I'm here supporting Singtel, talking to you, is actually especially a unique and rewarding experience.
Singapore is a very fortunate position to be an AI hub, but also talents like yourself. Maybe that's a good segue, right? Now, in your role, since we are in Singapore and Asia Pacific, what do you see in Asia Pacific's AI transformation? I mean, APAC or Asia Pacific, APJ or APAC is among one of the fastest AI adoptions. In my role, when I work with customers, both here in Singapore and the region, I see that AI is showing up in many ways. And in your role, you speak with many business leaders like myself. Can you share what are you seeing across the region at this time?
Yeah. Well, first of all, AI is being adopted at a pace I've never seen in any other technology before, in the business world. So now there's like 2 million businesses that use OpenAI in the workplace. And that last million was a lot faster than the first million, right? And the company has the business has only been around for a couple of years. APAC is super interesting because, as you said, it is where we see the growth. Most recently, we launched Codex. So Codex is our agentic platform. And globally, right, we've seen an 8 times growth since we launched, which is significant growth, right, in just a couple months. But in APAC, it's 11 times.
11 times?
11 times, right? And so if global average is 8x, APAC is 11 times, like that's a very big difference. That tells you that like the adoption and the willingness to try is very, very high in APAC. When I think about businesses, I would say there's a couple of things that I see. The first is like 2025 is not that long ago. It's only like 6 months ago. But that 2025, what we saw was Asia did lead the pack in terms of experimentation. Every company was building internal chatbots, right? And like trying to like figure out what this is. A lot of companies gave access to AI to their employees. But 2026 is because of the rise of agents, you're really seeing companies in Asia really like leaning in now. And it really is no longer the productivity chatbot era. We're calling it the intelligence era, where companies are really thinking about how can you actually leverage the intelligence that's already latent in the models and actually build it into the workplace. And no longer are we experimenting, we're actually like getting real workflows and really rethinking what an organization looks like when you have digital agents, along with your human employees.
That's true. In fact, that's exactly what I'm working on with my colleagues here at Singtel, right? For us, it started with a vision at Singtel to be not just an AI-first telco of the future, but we want to be the world's most intelligent connectivity company where AI is powering all of our customer interactions, all of our network decision, employee experience, and growth engines. So when we look at it, that vision then started the ball rolling. And we started to think about the whole ecosystem where, as you said, right, we've moved beyond proof of concepts or experimentations to scaling. As we start to think about scaling, then we realized that this AI is not just about AI, because there was discussion about a fear of jobs being lost. Then we started to tell our employees that for Singtel, we're working on sort of like an equation where it's about AI, but it's also about HI and CI. And HI is about human intelligence. It's really about the judgment and empathy that's needed from humans to, like you said, to be able to work with AI, right? To have better outcomes. And then, of course, to do an AI transformation, we're also discussing about CI, the cultural intelligence, where it's really the fundamental foundation. You need to shift the culture. You need to evolve the culture in order to embrace AI. So it's AI times HI times CI, is how we see it.
I think a lot of companies are still pretty early in their life cycle.
Okay.
I think Singtel, I've spoken to lots of your peer companies around the world. I think you guys are actually thinking about it the right way and in a very advanced way, right? I think what you said about AI and plus times HI times CI is actually a really good framework, because it sort of demystifies this idea of AI, or it's a lot of times I feel like the world is like very bifurcating. It's like all or nothing. Oh my gosh, if we adopt AI, then like there's no more jobs, right? But really, reality is much more nuanced. And so I like the approach you guys are thinking about that, because at the end of the day, humans have to be at the center of everything.
Yes.
And what we see in how people are deploying AI is people are getting a lot of benefit, right, to do the things that humans are uniquely equipped to do.
Exactly.
Things like you said around judgment, right, around building culture, building relationships. Though that's where we should spend time. And so we're seeing companies who are leaning in, they're starting to see the benefits of this, right? But it's uneven. I think a lot of companies haven't started on that journey yet, and they're a little paralyzed. So kudos to you all for starting early on the journey, and we've been glad to be on it together.
I mean, Singtel is on our journey. We still have a lot to learn, but one thing we know, we're starting to talk about, as well as in line with the whole Singapore National AI 2.0 strategy effort, it's about reskilling, retraining our workforce. And the reason is because, I think to a point you alluded to earlier, Oliver, it's about, as we redesign the work, we're starting to tell our colleagues at Singtel that in the future, the way jobs are designed and scoped will be quite different. And we frequently talk about this example where today we have an org chart that has a manager looking after, for example, 100 humans. And that person, based on size and complexity of the role, is scoped as a senior director. But tomorrow, when the organization is flattened, then you have another manager who's looking after 10 humans, but maybe 200 virtual bots.
Yep.
Right? And then that person may be scoped at a more senior role, maybe a vice president.
Yeah.
Then the question is, how come that job is more senior than mine? And that is where we are now talking about the fact that one, jobs will be designed differently, but also to encourage our managers and our employees. It's important to have then the right skill sets so that you learn how to work with humans, but also learn how to work with the AI and the world, the technology. In the future, a 50-year-old who's willing to be reskilled and retrained could look more valuable than a 35-year-old who, let's say, is close-minded about the retraining and reskilling topic, So that kind of unlocks that topic for us, And at Singtel today, we are unleashing all the AI for everyone, the AI fluency. We're also focusing on upskilling around, our targets is to have 3,000 AI practitioners and then another 300 AI specialists inside of our Singtel Singapore structure. And we want to do this because we're moving towards this discussion. Please equip yourself, get ready for the new world, and you're better equipped then to deal with all these changes.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This topic of AI fluency is something I think about a lot, and something that I think companies might sometimes even miss. We have a chief economist and a team back in San Francisco that did some really interesting research that showed that, let's call them we call them like the frontier companies, right? Companies that are adopting AI, right? They're getting 4 times the value of AI than the rest of the enterprises, right? AI, the value, let's call it, defined by the amount of intelligence, the amount of reasoning that AI is thinking on behalf of your employees. 4 times. We also did another research, it's all online, that shows that 20% of large enterprises today are getting about 70% of the value from AI. So the question is why, right?
Yeah.
I get this a lot. It's interesting because I think I can first say like what is not, right? Why is there this gap? We call this a capability gap where people aren't getting the value,
Okay.
right? It's not the model capabilities. That we know for sure because like you see this in the frontier companies. You know, Singtel, you guys are getting value and you're going to get even more. We have other, partners like Singapore Airlines, right? When they use our models to power their customer service chatbot, their customer satisfaction doubled overnight, right? Doubling for a company like Singapore Airlines, that's a big thing for CSAT for them. But so like the value is there, but the model capability is there. It's also the issue is not access. I think that was 2025 was when every company gave everyone access to like some form of AI tool, and then they didn't see it, right? So it's not the model capability, it's not access. To me, it comes down to what you said. It is lack of AI fluency, right? And when we think about how we work together when we first rolled out ChatGPT Enterprise across the organization, what was the first thing we did? The first thing we did was we did a training for the leadership team, right? Because everything has to start from the top, right? And we train on like, okay, this is how you can use it. And even like, if you remember, there were some friction in the beginning, right? Because there is a learning curve. How do you connect the AI to your data sources in the company?
True.
Right? How do you make sure this is new for people? True. And people really have to get their hands dirty and try it. And then then after the leadership got in, then we went team to team, function to function, and we trained them. And that's the difference, right? The teams that had access, companies have access to lots of AI tools out there, but you really, at the end of the day, need to, in a way, encourage your employees to actually try it because it's not that hard to get great value, right? Not just like your search use case.
Yes.
All right. But there is a little learning curve. And so that's why it's great that you guys have invested so much.
Yes.
We encourage this for other companies as well.
No, that's good to hear. I think that's a common experience we have and what we see. But maybe to add to what you said, what I see from my perspective is the AI fluency is one, but we look at several ingredients to cook the dish, so to speak. One of it is the AI fluency, but other foundational ingredients to cook this AI success dish are things like good data foundation, right?
Yep.
Because we need to make sure that the data architectures are all done systematically and properly so that we can scale. Governance models is yet another one I think when we start to scale, we realize that we do need to have good governance done. And of course, we talk about the whole culture, to get that piece. So there are several things that just sharing experiences, you do need to have this foundational layer, and then you start to unlock all those things that we said.
Yeah. I like how you think about the foundational layers, right?
Yeah.
You need the data, right? So that you can bring the business context into the AI. Governance, absolutely critical. Right. We talked about AI fluency. One area that a lot of companies miss, right, is they pick the wrong projects to work on, and they get burnt by it. Right, because the industry is changing so quickly. It's changing so quickly, right? And so a lot of companies are in a way like doing this on their own, and by the time they start a project to the time they actually try to get into production, the world has moved. Right, or they might try a project where the models aren't ready yet, and they get discouraged. But maybe the models will be ready 3 months from now.
What we have also learned at Singtel is we have to take a serious look at being able to redesign, have the attitude or the acceptance. It's about redesigning, re-architecting some of the workflows. Right, because of course, as you know, commonly discussed in the industry, if you put AI on top of an existing process that's not efficient or working well, then you won't get the maximum benefits, right? So we're actually putting a big effort in terms of redesigning, re-looking at our workflows, and that also then fits into the new jobs that will show up. So at Singtel, there are 3 big things we're working on. One is the use cases across different use cases across the company.
Yep.
The other is focusing our effort on the tech stack, a central kitchen of tech stack that help us to scale more systematically. And then the third one is about the workforce transformation, about redesigning jobs, the culture, and that's how it kind of all hangs together. And frequently I get a lot of pressure because with my team, the stakeholders are asking questions about return on investment. If you're asking for so much CapEx, OpEx, what's the bang for the buck? How much are we getting, up productivity, revenue uplift? So the way we're framing up is we look at sort of like three metrics now. We look at a return on investment, the financial one. We are looking at return on employees, which is the productivity angle.
Yep.
And the third one, I feel is the more important one, is the return on the future. Now, return on the future, the ROF one is a bit harder, where we look for needle-moving initiative where there's no short-term payback.
Yep.
But we are going to take a bet because we know that if we're successful, it moves the needle in how we can win in the industry by much better customer experience, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at. I want to ask you a question. As we start looking at implementing the different AI technologies, with your tools, what tasks should humans be handling instead of AI?
It's a great question. So agentic AI is definitely a theme of 2026. And for us, we get to see it from the lens of our product is Codex, right? And that's something that you guys are starting to adopt. And we are seeing this massive adoption in terms of how people are redefining their jobs now if everybody's given Codex. And to your question about where humans come in, I'll go back to your initial equation, right? I think agents is what allows that HI and CI to really flourish. Okay. If you think about, we're both senior executives at companies, and you think about our jobs, let's break it into our tasks that we do every day, right? You didn't become the CEO of Singtel here because you want to find all the right information, to do the research, I feel like 80% of my emails that you have to reply to every day don't really trigger any brain cells here. And so internally, our use of Codex is, as an example, I'll give you right? We see it about double, right? Net output on efficiency in our employees, whether it's developers and also non-developers. So at OpenAI, every employee, including my own assistant, right, has multiple agents.
Right? You're right.
But our output is about 2x, and that's what we see. And majority of our code now, right, is written by agents. And what I have found to be the case, and is a little bit closer to what you said earlier about the ROF part, it's very hard to measure, right? But what I can see is my employees have more time and more energy to actually do the things that only humans can do.
Indeed.
Which is leverage that creativity to really think about what are the big bets and to make better judgment calls.
Yes.
That ultimately leads to, right, the things that move the needle.
Yes.
For most knowledge workers, we have all the possibilities for creativity in our head. We just don't have the time and tools, right? And so this is what tools like Codex we've seen them be able to do, and very excited to get your team. Your teams are starting to get on it now, and I think you'll see that impact.
Yes.
Partially because you did the AI fluency training last year.
I think it unlocks many things. Even like you say, in my role, I have to meet a plethora of different people, right? And ranging from deep tech discussion to business topics and all. Nobody on earth will really understand the full gamut, right?
Yeah.
But with the tools that we have now, really, at least I know enough to have that conversation and to be able to steer it. Right? So definitely. And of course, at the end, I do have to make a human judgment, right? At the end of the day, do it, don't do it, and all that. So yeah, really agree with you.
I have found those judgment calls in the past, you really feel like you have to go with intuition. And now with agents working left and right, helping you, support you, I do believe, right, that we're making better judgment calls.
Yes.
We're making the right trade-offs.
Yes,
that's
indeed.
ultimate for leadership. That's the hardest part. Is there's no easy decision. Every decision has trade-offs, and I think the agents can really help you think through that.
Oliver, this has been a very fascinating discussion. We're at a very exciting point in our history. The pace of change we're seeing with AI is really unlike anything we've experienced before. In fact, I'll say in decades, and we're only at the beginning. Now, even at this early stage, AI is already transforming how we work, learn, and solve problems. But more importantly, there's so much we can do with this technology when used responsibly and thoughtfully to create all this lasting impact that we're talking about on business, on employees, as well as on society. So, Oliver, thank you very much, Oliver.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's phenomenal opportunity to be able to partner with you and your team at Singtel, and we look forward to doing a lot more to further our partnership.
We appreciate that, Oliver. Thank you. And to the audience, I want to say we'd love to hear from you as well. How is AI changing the way you work? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, thank you once again for joining TChats, Building the Future.